Welcome back, gents. We're continuing with our Mark 262 testing with Hodgdon's LeveRevolution powder. Today, we're doing a brass test. Over here is Norma, over here is Remington. Remington generally weighs lighter by about 3 grains, but also is far softer. I had to change my seating depth by about 5 thousandths so that the overall length, or the cartridge-based ogive, pardon me, would stay the same. That said, let's get to shooting. There's a lot of information to cover here, but I'll try to be quick. So, long story short, I'm trying to replicate Mark 262 ammo. So that's a 77 grain bullet going 2750 feet per second. I'm trying out some different components though. Previously, it was Sierra Match Kings with Lake City brass. Now we're trying both Norma and Remington brass. And we're also trying out Midsouth Shooter Supply 77 grain classic match bullets. These are definitely different, a little bit, than Sierra Match Kings. For example, I tried to load them to the same cartridge-based ogive, and the overall length ended up being just slightly longer, 2.250. Also, when I tested them in Lake City brass, and by tested I mean I measured the velocities, I found the bullet is generally going about 30 to 50 feet per second faster for a given powder charge. So I dropped the overall, not the range, I kept the same range. I'm just starting at 24.1 and I'm going up to 25.3, not 25.6. 25.3 is still really spicy. I'm still getting above 2,800 feet per second. Do not load to that level unless it's at your own peril. I don't recommend it. Anyway, and so we can also do just one range trip. I loaded up bullets for an overall length testing. We're going from the max meg length, 2.260, all the way down to 2.240. Why? Easy, it's because the cannular. That's it. We're just barely uncovering the cannular to covering it completely in the case neck with that range. You'll also notice 24.5. This is, again, because previously 25 grains of LeveRevolution worked really well, and I'm basically dropping a node when I do that. I'm just going to see how well it does. Oh, enough yapping. Let's get to our targets. So starting off with the group I fired first, Norma brass with overall length testing. This is the max 2.260, and you can see the general trend is we're going downward as we get shorter, but this is nothing to write home about. By the way, I think 2.260 is Nosler's recommended overall length, and I think Nosler made these classic match bullets for Midsouth Shooter Supply. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to double check my sources. But I think that's the case. Anyway, we go from not so great to vertical stringing, arguably a worse group from edge to edge, to 2.250, something really good, a little over ½ inch. I'm really glad to see that. Our point to impact doesn't shift too much. It is going a little bit down, but our precision definitely goes to badness. Then at our lowest, 2.240, we got a tight core group there, although it's diagonal. But we have this weird outlier there that I'm halfway tempted to claim as a shooter-induced flyer. But then again, who knows? Because this seems to be going more rightwards, perhaps. And I wouldn't be surprised if here the barrel's basically snapping back to the left, and that's the outlier. But that's speculation. We could retest it. I'm definitely retesting that, but onwards from Norma to Remington. And this is why I love doing brass tests, because other than this general trend of moving downward, there's really not much in common between these two. I will say that Remington does appear to have done just a little bit better. This looks like the worst overall group. Again, I want to claim this as a shooter-induced flyer, but we do have some precedents for up there. So I think maybe just right there, something happened and the barrel whipped up. I don't know. That's speculation too. But either way, 2.250, things really tighten up, although it's horizontal stringing. And then we switch to vertical stringing at our shortest distance. Shortest overall length, I meant to say. So it's interesting. At least I think so. Let's get on to the powder graduations, because again, these are slightly different. Also, I'm a little bit angry here. I'll go ahead and openly admit that. Why am I slightly angry? Well, this is our latest charge, core group, flyer. Kind of same here, core group, flyer. and none of them are really that great. In fact, there's a lot of vertical stringing going on here. I'm tempted to say, hey, the sun was in my eyes, which isn't too far from the truth. The sun is basically setting now, but this terrible double grouping, and yes, things are going more or less downwards, but this is 24.4. This is 24.7. This was 25 grains and had the same overall length as all of these. How come there is such a difference? We're just going to have to test more. That's really ultimately it. Because as much as I'd like to say, hey, the sun was in my eyes, look down here with the Remington groups. Again, these are generally overall better. And not only are they definitely better than these groups, but they're about the same as the ones over there. So I guess it is what it is. Anyway, one thing they have in common with Norma up here is, again, the point to impact is shifting down as we go up in powder charge, which is great. That's actually what you want to see in a way, because again, this whole debate about vertical compensation. Thing is, though, these are such big jumps into point to impact. I'm not sure how viable we actually are going here. And that is basically 4 holes, almost all touching. The 5th one definitely shot out below. Again, it'd be nice, it'd be great to call that as, hey, that was me. But I don't know. That's really difficult. I don't see anything that's too impressive here. I like that they're all basically about an inch. Means it's more or less honest. But vertical stringing. It's really hard to read too much into these groups beyond just saying, hey, look, the point to impact is going down as we go up. Oh, I almost forgot. Notice only 4 holes there. There's no overlapping. This is the 5th one. I've tried to strike the primer multiple times. I'm going to pull the bullet when I get home. We're going to see if that was it me? Did I forget to charge it with powder, or is it the primer? Because that will be the first bad Ruag primer that I've had. I feel like I'm getting into the point that I'm babbling, but long story short, if we were to claim a winner here, I would definitely say the Remington, which really surprises me. I'm definitely glad with this. I'm glad we at least got some sort of approximation, but I'm really worried for the future here, guys. I'm not going to lie when it comes to the Norma brass. And the Remington, even though it's been consistent, I'm not sure if we're ever going to shrink it down to a 1/2 inch. So that's worrying. Anyway, we babbled on enough. This has been a fun range trip, and I'll see you guys the next trip.